2024. So, first of all, I'd like to introduce Joe. Um, Joe Nicasio is a friend of mine, and we knew each other maybe like 12 years ago or 13 years ago when I was in Chino Hills. So we knew each other, and then Joe was he's a very talented and skillful and a nice guy. So we were able to, we became friends. And then after, once in a while, I invite Joe for my seminars, my training, and he's one of our guest speaker to give some insights about business. And he's a business person. He is Joe is an author, a business mentor, and author, and he's the founder of Employment Escape Program. So that's what Joe is in right now, and he is in Texas. I am in California, and Joe, so say something. Maybe you want to continue. I just want to know. Just want everybody to know that um, how we met. So we met 12 years ago. You gave me a book, and that book is still with me. I'm still reading that book. That's why I do what I do right now because of that. And Joe, welcome to my show. And uh,
Well, thanks for having
say
me,
something.
Jim.
You're welcome.
You know, yeah, I remember you had that networking group in Chino Hills, and then you invited me to speak to the group. And I remember I got a couple customers from that, and that was a good time. And but yeah, look, I've been a business coach since 1999. Well, let me go back further. I used to be into electronics, and I built all my. I have an electrical engineering background, and I made a lot of money in technology, but I also lost a lot of money and had a pretty painful fall. But I had this blessing. I got mentored by this guy, Jay Abraham. And in 1999, I started being a marketing consultant, a business coach. And I was, at the time when I met you, um, I was, I was working with people who were making 3 to 5 to 700,000 a year in their own business, and they wanted to go to 1 or 2 or 3 million. And that's most of the people I coach are already in business and they want to get to the next level. But as I was going to networking meetings, a lot of people said, Joe, I don't make that kind of money. As a matter of fact, I don't have my own business. I have a job and it's kind of stealing my soul. And so around 2008, I came up with employee escape plan. So I still coach existing business owners, but I also, realize that there's millions of people every day that are driving reluctantly to a job they don't want to go to. And they're praying, dear God, send me a mentor to show me how to start my own business. And I prayed about this. And, the answer I got back from God is if you don't help these people, Joe, no one will really teach them how to start a business the right way. And so, um, yeah, so one of the things I realized is a lot of people are afraid of starting a business. And that's what inspired me to write the book, Resurrecting America's Entrepreneurial Spirit. And I'm pretty excited because a major publisher, HarperCollins, has just decided to buy that book from me, or they're going to be republishing the book here. I can't give you all the details yet because we're still working it all out, but it's been 100% confirmed that I have a major publisher that's going to help republish this book. And I believe they want to translate it into many languages and even make a documentary. So, pretty exciting time.
Wow. Wow, congratulations, Joe. I'm so excited to see that on Amazon and everywhere. I should get a copy. I should be the first one to get a copy of that book.
Well, you got a copy of the original book that was written about, I think it was about 2012. It came out,
Uh-huh. Yes.
but
Yes, I
but
got that.
but now it's going to be updated, revised, and I don't think that a major publisher would be picking up this book unless they saw that the marketplace wants and needs this
Mhm.
kind of a. It's a business book with a spiritual theme, which is unusual.
Okay, very good. So, Joe, our topic for today is the title is Get Ready to Skyrocket Your Success in 2024. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, it's a new year. Look, it's a new year. It's a new opportunity. Maybe at the beginning of 2023, you set some goals. Maybe you hit those goals. Maybe you're crushing those goals, or maybe you fell short. But one thing for sure is I'm sure almost everybody wants 2024 to be better than 2023. But here's the truth: is if nothing changes, nothing changes. And if there was a book I read many years ago. I think it was called Selling the Invisible. And one of the things he said in there was a thing called the Lake Wobegon effect. In Lake Wobegon, there was a Garrison Keillor had this radio show, and he would always sign off, from Lake Wobegon, where the men are smart, the men are strong, the women are smart, and the kids, well, they're above average. If I think I'm above average and you think you're above average, and everybody else thinks they're above average, guess what? That's average. So to really truly be above average, you gotta have to make some changes. You're gonna have to work extra hard. And so I think a lot of people are a little bit delusional. Oh, it's a new year, I'm gonna make next year better, but then they keep doing the same stuff. And I just want to encourage you, if you want next year to be better, uh, you're going to need to make some changes, and you're going to need to do some things better.
Joe, thank you for that. And I believe that, if you have a plan, if you have a goal and you don't do anything about it, nothing will happen after 1 year, or anything that you say you want to do that you don't do, nothing will happen. And also, I got a note about what you said, the selling the invisible. That is something that's really will make money because you're selling the invisible. In fact, I am selling the invisible for the past year. Like, I started it in 2022. I was selling the invisible and I felt good about it because it helped a lot of people. And I don't have time to discuss about the invisible that I'm selling right now, but in the future, you're going to know what it is. Our focus today is for us to help the people how to get there and how to be
Well,
successful,
let me address that.
successful.
Let me address selling the invisible a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Look, a lot of people think it takes money to make money, and that's not true. It takes
Mm-hmm.
customers to make money. And
Absolutely.
you go to a doctor. A doctor goes to medical school, and they get a tangible asset. They get a medical degree, they get a medical license. But how much can they sell that medical license on eBay for? It's not worth anything. So why do doctors, typically make pretty good money? Because they actually do things that are invisible. They have the ability to diagnose and come up with a treatment plan and make a prescription. And they can do, a lot of your knowledge and skills and talents and abilities are invisible, and yet your knowledge can change lives. Your knowledge can heal. Your
Mm-hmm.
knowledge can make somebody's life better. And so, even though a doctor's knowledge is invisible, that doesn't mean it's not valuable. And everybody listening to this, you have knowledge and skills and talents, abilities, gifts from God. And nobody can like just look at your face and say, oh, Jem's talented at blah, 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 blah. I can't see that from the outside. It's when you get to know Jem, you'll get to see her value. And so we all have value. Uh, the thing is we all haven't figured out how to necessarily take that value to the marketplace, improve lives, and get paid for it. And that's what
Wow.
I help people do.
Yes, very good message. That's very inspiring and encouraging, Joe. Thank you for that. And yes, again, going back to our discussion, this will just be a flow of conversation. People who wants to ask questions, they can type their questions in the comments, and we are live on the three social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So, Joe, we talk about breakthrough brainstorming for 2024. Say something, tell me something about it.
Sure. I do these sessions called the Business Breakthrough Brainstorm. And, if somebody wants to do that, go to employeeescapeplan.com, and at the bottom of the page is my calendar. But, look, everybody has talents, everybody has skills, everybody has abilities. Most people have a windfall profits hiding right underneath their nose. But not everybody knows how to look for those things. So, but I'm trained in that. I was blessed to have a great mentor, a guy named Jay Abraham, and I spent over 7 years learning from him and became a Jay Abraham protege. And you can't ask for a better mentor than spending 7 years with the $30 billion man. And when I sit down with people and I start talking to them and asking them questions, there are breakthroughs. There are things that are right in front of you that you don't see. They're blind spots. So, um, if you've got value, if you can solve problems, you should be getting paid. The only thing is are you making it simple and easy and fun and appealing for people to do business with you? Chances are you're probably not making it, easy. You're probably making it difficult. Maybe it's not fun to do business with you. Maybe people don't understand and appreciate what you can do for them. One of my favorite sayings is innovation creates new ignorance. You may have all the innovation and all the value in the world, but if people don't know about it, they're not going to buy from you. But the flip side is also true. If people knew your talents and your skills, if people knew how you could transform their lives, if people knew all the magic that you possessed, of course they would be buying from you. Okay. So, it's all about business is all about making a promise and keeping a promise. I make a promise to you that I'm going to do something to improve your life or improve your business. And you say, okay, I like your promise. I believe your promise. I'm going to take you up on that promise. But here's the thing. The confused mind buys nothing. Okay. If people are confused about what your value is, they're not going to buy from you. But the flip side is also true that if the promise is clear, people will pay the price, you know, and
Yes, yes.
money comes to those who create value for others. And you need to make sure that the value you create, you communicate it clearly. And if people knew how much you care, if people knew how valuable your thoughts and your ideas and your expertise was, of course they would be spending money with you. Of course.
Yes, Joe, I really understand what you're saying because I myself experienced that. So I see now, I see the importance of having a mentor because the mentor will teach you what you cannot see and what you cannot even feel. Because, like for me, for example, I assess myself. I have a lot of talents. I can do this. I can do that. I can create a company. I can create a business. But what is wrong with me is that I don't know, number one, I don't know how to price myself. I don't know how to price my service. That's why I keep watching that movie, Pretty Woman. It's negotiating. The art of negotiating. Watch the Pretty Woman movie. So,
That's
yes, Joe,
funny.
I really agree with what you said. It's really important to have a mentor like you because I myself didn't even realize what will be my price, what will be the value of my service. And I didn't know it valued it's in my head. Like I may not have a net worth, but I have a network of friends. I have talent and I have ideas that I can do, but I just don't know how to use it.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because most people don't know how to price their products or services. They really
Yes.
don't. They use the SWAG method, SWAG, and that stands for systematic wild ass guess. How much should I charge? It's kind of a guessing game. Now, one of the mistakes people make when it comes to their pricing is they start asking, "What am I worth?" Well, you're a child of God. Your worth is infinite in the eyes of God, but not necessarily in the eyes of the marketplace. And uh, you know, here's the good news: is your pricing has nothing to do with your self-esteem, and your value has nothing to do with how much money you have in the bank. Your pricing, your value has to do with how much can you improve the conditions of the client. It, you know, it, there's a cost of doing business with me, and there's a cost to not doing business with me. And usually the cost of not doing business with me is very expensive. How much is it costing you to live with the problem? How much if there was a guy, he died like in the last 10 years, a guy named Red Adair. and he was the number one person for putting out oil well fires. And he was very expensive, you know. But if you had an oil well, oil coming out of the ground is like, black gold. You know, they put it in automobiles, and I think oil is like $100 a barrel right now. Well, if you have an oil well and it's on fire, okay, there's a cost to hiring somebody to put the fire out. But what's the cost of not hiring somebody to put the fire out? All of your oil is going up in flames. It's going from $100 a barrel to zero because it's all burning. Okay, so the cost of whatever the cost it is to put the fire out is cheap compared to letting the fire continue to burn and watch all your profits burn. And so when um, the easiest way to make $10,000. Want to hear the easiest way to make $10,000?
Yes. Yes, of
The
course.
easiest way to make $10,000 is to solve somebody's $100,000 problem. If you have $100,000 problem and I can make it go away for 10,000, you know what we call that in business? That's called a good deal. And so, one of the things you want to think about is what's the cost of not hiring you? What's it costing
Mhm.
people to live with the problem? I made up coffee mugs for my clients. It says, I will solve your problems and you will pay me gratefully and generously. And if you're not grateful and you're not generous, you're not my client. Okay. Go ahead, live with your problem, live with it.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't have to fix your problems. Okay. I love helping people who take care of me, but people, a lot of people are cheap and they don't take care of me. You know what? Go live with your
Mhm.
problems. A lot of people, they want me to fix their problems, but they don't appreciate me. Go ahead, live with your problems. Come at me with a grateful heart. Come at me with a generous heart. There's we live in a world where a lot of people they just focus on the money. And
Mhm.
money's not the most important thing in the world, okay? You know what's more important than money?
What?
Gratitude. Gratitude. But the best way you can demonstrate your gratitude is the way you pay me.
Mhm.
Pay me with gratitude. Don't just say thank you. You think I can pay my rent or my mortgage with gratitude? No, I can't. If you truly appreciate me, I'm going to take care of you and you're going to take care of me. I'm going to help you solve your one or two or $500,000 problem, but don't pay me, don't come at me with as a miser. I'm going to be generous with you to solve your problem. Be generous with me the way you compensate me. Demonstrate your gratitude with the way you pay people.
Wow. So that's what we call maybe coach mentality, mentor mentality. And I don't have that, Joe. I just realized that is something that I don't have. People are cheap. They don't want to spend money, and they didn't realize that their 1 million loss is just like a $10,000. Or I deserve more than that, but I don't know how to say it. I wish I have the courage to say, okay, take it or leave it.
Well, you can, that's called a Hobson's choice, take it or leave it. There was a rancher in the United Kingdom who had a horse ranch, and people would rent horses for the day. Now, what he would do is they were all lined up, and the most rested horse was the next one in line. And some
Mhm.
people will say, I want the horse that's fourth back. Well, that horse is not as rested. And the rancher would say, you know what? You get the one in front that's most rested, take it or leave it, because that's my way of doing business. You can't let
Mhm.
people bully you. Like we all need to set up our business in a way that the customer wins and you, the business owner, wins. If
Mhm.
the cut, but there's this thing where, there's the buyer's way of buying and the seller's way of selling, and you can't wimp out. In Sandler sales training, they call this wimp junction. And the customer says, well, I want all the most and I want to pay the least. You can't wimp out. It's like, this is what I do and this is my price, take it or leave it. And if people don't want to follow your rules, they want to win but they want you to lose. It's like, go away, you're not my customer, you don't appreciate me. you know it's not easy to have a business that's profitable. That's why I set up these rules.
Wow. Now I have point number one. Check. Know your worth. Okay. So
Don't
Joe.
get your customers to know your worth. See,
Uh huh.
the number one thing that's going to determine if you get paid properly is the perceived value of the buyer. You know, if the buyer perceives you as worth $1 million, they're going to pay you $1 million. But if they only perceive you as worth $100, they're not going to pay you 101. So the best way to have high perceived value is to have high real value. But the thing is even if you have high real value, doesn't mean that the other side perceives it. So you need to have the real value, but there's an extra obligation to communicate so that people understand and appreciate and desire your value. Having the value isn't enough. You've got to make sure
Mhm.
that the other side perceives it. And when they see, oh, wow, this is worth a lot,
Mhm.
then and only then they'll pay a lot.
Yes. And also, maybe if you can tell that person, your customer, can tell him, okay, so I can make your dream come true, and you really have to do it. You just don't have to say it. I can make your dream come true. You hire me as your consultant, and I'm gonna make your dream come true. And that's when you start really proving yourself that things can happen, and you're worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I think this is a challenge that all business owners have. There's once people hire me and we roll up our sleeves and get to work, they realize how valuable the work is that we do. But
Mhm.
until people hire you, until after you know, I'm not going to pour it on with anybody until they're paid me first. But a lot of people won't pay me first because they don't know when you pay attention, and people need to, at some level you have to ante up. I'm not going to give you all if I give you all my secrets, before I get paid, you're going to feel like, why should I hire him? He's giving me everything
Mhm.
for free.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
So
I
I'll
think
get
that's.
people little samples. you know I for anybody, it's like, let me buy you an hour of my time.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll give anybody that first hour for free. But after that, if it makes sense, I'll make you an offer. Now, if you take me up on my offer, we roll up our sleeves and get to work. You pay me and I help you. But
Mhm.
if I give you an hour of my time for $500 hour of my time, and I give it to you for free, let me buy you an hour of my time, and you don't want to pay me, it's like, I want to keep talking to you, okay, but I'm not ready to pay you. At that point, since I've paid it forward and I've given you that hour up front, after that I become compassion for hire. If you pay me, I care. If you don't pay, I don't care. Like, there, you need
Mhm.
to have a healthy boundary. I will
Mhm.
always give a lot of value up front, but if you want, I can give anybody an hour, but I can't give you 3 months or 6 months or a year of my expertise. you know and so we need to have those healthy boundaries. They're like, okay, I've given you some time, now you need to make a decision. If you really want to keep working with me, we need to work out some kind of a plan or program, so that uh you know it's not like I take care of you and you don't take care of me. It's I take care of you and you take
Mhm.
care of me, so I can take care of you even more.
Yes, Joe. I think that's what I've experienced a lot in my career as a business person, and as I help companies. I spend more time for nothing. And now it's a time for me to think about it. And, this is a very good conversation with you, Joe. I really appreciate your time. This is like you told me, we're going to have a 30-minute conversation. It's almost 30 minutes. So I don't know what's
We
next.
can go another 30 minutes if you want.
Okay,
It's,
very good.
hey, happy new year, like,
Happy
let's
New
get
Year.
people started.
Yes. So, Joe, what can you add to, like, for example, some people, they are very they don't know what to do for 2024. They're still confused whether they want to start a business or they want to work for someone else. And with the economy that's going on right now, what is your advice?
Well, the most important decision anybody can make is choosing the right business for you and your personality. I think one of the biggest reasons people fail in business is they choose the wrong business. So that's the first thing, is make sure you
Mhm.
choose the right business. But, look, we live in a world of problems. Okay. And that's good news for business people. There are two kind of problems: the ones people will pay to solve and the ones they won't pay to solve. Now, a lot of people say, I'm going to start a business, and they want to solve a problem that's the kind that people won't pay to solve. you've already made a mistake because you didn't choose the right kind of business in the first place. So, and then, what kind of problems do you solve? Do you solve little itty bitty problems, or do you solve big giant problems? If you solve bigger problems, you can make bigger money. So as long as the world has problems and you can solve some of those problems, you're guaranteed that you can make an income.
Very good. And to add to that statement, Joe, I think um, one of the things that's really important of realizing what you really want to do, why you want to be successful, is first of all maybe assess yourself. What is your passion? What do you love to do? Right?
Yeah, I take this deep. A lot of people say do what you love and the money will
Mm-hmm.
follow. That's not 100% true. You need to do what you love for yourself and the marketplace. I love laying on the beach. Well, nobody's going to pay me to do that. I might be able to work at the beach as a lifeguard, okay, because there are people willing to pay for that water safety, okay. So, but it's a combination of doing what you love and what will people pay for, and uh, what problems are you good solving. Um, I this is when I started coaching people to transform employees into entrepreneurs. Okay, if I'm going to help you leave the job you hate, number one is I want your business to succeed. I don't want you to be 9 out of 10 people fail in business. Well, I not on my watch. I had to make sure that I designed a way for people to win it at starting a business, and make that business succeed every time. So number one, let's do it in a way that this business is going to endure. And the other thing is, if I'm going to help you leave the job that you hate, we don't want to create the business that you hate. And so I created something called the Bulletproof Business Blueprint, the Bulletproof Business Bliss Blueprint. And it's being very intentional that let's create a business. you know, uh, if like every day millions are driving to a job they don't want to do. Let's not do that. Let's create a business where you wake up every day saying, I love what I'm doing. I'm using my superpowers. I'm making a big difference in the lives of others. I'm changing lives, and making a big impact. And wow, I even make good money doing this. That's what it's all about. But it starts with what business is the right business for you. I have a program that I created specifically to help you figure out what's the right business for you. And nobody
Mm-hmm.
else takes it deep like I do. You know, you don't want to mess that up. Far too many people say I'm going to start a business and they jump in and they never even gave it much thought. Here's the thing is if you're running in the wrong direction, you don't need a motivator to come along and tell you to run faster. If you're running in the wrong direction, Business Wisdom Quest, this program I created, is to get you to stop. Let's figure out your North Star, where you're going. Once you know where you're going, it doesn't matter if you go slow or fast, you're going to get there because you're pointed in the right direction. A lot of people think that they need motivation, or they need encouragement, but I'm not going to encourage you if you're on the wrong path. First thing we're going to do is stop and make sure you're moving in the right direction. I talked to a girl a couple months ago, and she had this business where she was selling luxury purses, the Louis Vuitton and the Gucci handbags, to make some side money. And she was asking for help around that business, and I asked, do you actually love what you're doing? Is this the right business for you? And she immediately said, no, I love acting. It's like, okay, so what are you doing driving yourself crazy in something you don't love doing? Let's make sure that we put all of our energy into focusing on the thing you love doing, which is your acting career, your acting business, your performance arts, because you love doing that. You don't love selling these purses. Now, if it's putting bread on the table and making you some money, let's keep it going until we get your acting business off the ground. But it doesn't make sense to put all this energy in a business that you don't even enjoy.
Yes, you're right, Joe. I think that makes sense to me. Especially, I'm trying to listen to you carefully because I'm trying to put myself on what on the people that you're talking about. So you're right. Like for example, for me, I like talking. I like this. I like this podcast. So what can I do? I like the podcast, but I'm on the other side of the business. I'm a financial professional. I do all this financial help to the people. It helps people. It make them happy. It saves their lives. It protects their family. But in the end, not everybody wants it. But this is another thing that I like to do. So what should I do? I like being in a podcast, but does it make money? That what is the value of this? Like for now, I really like our conversation. I want to pursue this kind of conversation with all the rest of the people because my channel is edutainment, education, and entertainment. Sometimes you see me dance, that's me, or sing, that's entertainment. If you see me talking like this, education. If I'm doing a tutorial of something, education. So I really like doing this. And the only thing is, how do you make money out of it? You cannot be staying here all day and talk and make
Well,
nothing.
that's right. I don't know how big your audience is, to make money with the podcast, it is important to, try and grow your audience. So one of my clients is Richard Kaufman, who has the Vertical Momentum podcast. And when I met him, he had like 800,000 downloads of his podcast, but he wasn't making money. And I taught him how to monetize it. Now he's making several $1,000s per month. You got to look at, first of all, if you're doing a podcast, it's sponsored by, Gemma Dela Cruz. So, look, uh, today's podcast is sponsored by Gemma. I'm a financial planner. If you need help with your financial plan, here's my phone number or here's my website. Schedule an appointment. Okay, so you do the podcast. So one of the ways is you can sponsor it yourself. You can have other sponsors. The more listeners and viewers you have, the more you can charge for sponsorship. When you're smaller, you can't charge as much. To me, I think there's really four ways you can monetize a podcast. Number one is to have some kind of product or service you sell. You have listeners. So, you can promote products that you believe in that would
Mhm,
help people as an affiliate, or you can promote products that are available for sale on your website. Okay. So you can sell things to your audience. That's one way. Another way is you can get sponsors who will pay for the exposure. So,
mhm,
we're for Richard Kaufman. He's got over a million downloads of his podcast, and it's very high rated in the Apple Store and the Spotify Store, etc. Well, he's getting top people to sponsor him now. Okay, they're
I
paying
see.
him thousands of dollars to be a sponsor of his podcast. A third way you can monetize a podcast is, do what you're doing with me, interview somebody for free, but then offer a package where I will take snippets of what's in the podcast recording and I will give you some Instagram reels or some Facebook reels, some video clips, some 1 minute, 30-second clips, 1 minute
Mhm,
clips, for an extra $500 or $1,000, I'll give you some pre-done media that were highlights of our show that you can use in your social media to help you promote. So we do the interview for free, but if you want a
mhm,
VIP package, you can pay for the social media stuff. So those are the three, profit centers. You can sell
mhm,
there's four. You can sell other people's products or services as sponsors. You can promote to your listeners. You can sell your own products or services. So,
mhm,
are you looking for a financial planner? Talk to Jim. Okay. Number three is you can get sponsors who will pay because you have a large audience, or you have an audience that is their kind of people. And then number four is you can monetize the actual guests on your podcast. So, you know,
yes.
all those
So
things can help you, and it can help you grow your financial services business.
wow, that's a very good advice, Joe. And I'm getting there. I just started. It's only 6 months that I tried. I started my YouTube channel really seriously, and then a lot of things. That's why I create. subscribers because I joined a community, and this community are all singers. They sing, and these are all the Filipino overseas contract worker everywhere in the world, and I joined them. So that's why I got some friends and audiences, but they are not my market for my products because they're abroad. Number one, my product is only good in the US, but I get to know a lot of people. So this is how I'm starting doing this. But again, it has to be systematic. There has to be an organized plan that I
Well, if
have
you
to
have a
do.
lot of people in the Philippines that are interested in financial services, you could probably find a partner in the Philippines who sold those. But you can't sell them a U.S. product in the Philippines, but a Philippine partner could sell them in the Philippines, and because of that partnership, you could be profit partners.
Wow, that's smart. Actually, Joe, they are from different countries, from UK, from Saudi Arabia, from Italy, Taiwan, everywhere. They are all, the OFW, it's overseas contract workers. A lot of Filipinos go out of the country to find a job abroad. So these are the community of people that I joined in who helped me grow my YouTube channel.
Well, the point is if somebody says I could use I could use some financial planning. If you can't serve them, well, you've just generated a lead, and even though you can't convert that lead, there's some other financial expert out there would really appreciate that lead.
Yes, yes, I agree. Okay, very good. So I'm full packed with the few first 30 minutes, Joe. Thank you so much. um, I remember we have a lot of people joined our networking group back in Chino Hills in 2012. So I started that in 2012, and we grew fast. We when we ended when I left, it was like 400 members, and I knew a lot of people, especially you and Chris
Chris
Burns.
Burns.
Yeah, he's a very good guy. I invited him in one of my trainings as guest speaker, and also both of you. And yeah, I remember that you introduced me to Chris, and Chris came to the networking. That's how we learned each other. And then Chris told me that he learned so much from you, and he's very grateful that you know you were his mentor. I don't know until now if you still mentoring Chris, but I'm really proud of you and Chris that I got really good friends and good people, a pro in the business.
Chris is married now, and he's got a
Yes.
lovely wife, and they got a baby now, and so he's kind of busy with that. But Chris is a great human being, and but
Mm-hmm.
when Chris started working with me, he was not make he had a job, and he really was not making money as an entrepreneur. But he hired me, and I helped him get started, and we took him to from zero to cash flow in 60 days, and he did continue to work with me, and I did help him start getting those first months of $5,000 per month revenue. So
Wow.
Chris is very grateful to me, and I'm very grateful to Chris. He was, a great client, very ambitious, very
Mm-hmm.
smart, and he was very coachable, and he was willing to take my advice and run with it. So lots of
Wow.
kudos to Chris Burns. He's a great, great client. And the truth is, Jem, is I've worked with over
Mhm.
4,000 people in 400
Mhm.
industries.
Wow.
I've helped. I've made a million, and I've lost everything, and I've come back. I've been mentored by a genius, Jay Abraham, but I've helped myself. I've helped over 4,000 other people start and grow their businesses, and I could help you, Jim, or anybody listening. The question is, would you like to be next? And if you would,
Mhm.
reach out to me. Look, I love doing this work. I love helping people. I love helping people grow businesses. I love seeing people entrepreneurs succeed. You know what I hate is I hate seeing people fail. And I
Yes.
hate seeing people waste their life on a job that's stealing their soul. And that's why I created Employee Escape Plan. That's why I created this work. And um, I am an entrepreneur maker. And a large part of the work I do is helping people figure out what's the right business for you, and let's build it. Let's
Mhm.
start. Let's take this idea and then package it up so it's attractive, and let's create your dream
Customize.
business.
Very good. Yes, yeah, I remember. And one of the things that I cannot forget is when Chris told me that he was a shy guy, doesn't want to be with other people. He was a shy. That's the word that he told me. And now, after you mentored him, he became what he wants to be. That is very good.
I Chris, I can't take all the credit because Chris was, he was very ambitious. He signed up for a lot of training. He did Toastmasters, and that
Mhm.
helped him give the confidence to speak. He's trained as a master practitioner and in neuro linguistic programming. I mean, Chris is, Chris was an ideal client though because he was hungry. He didn't complain about paying for the help. He got the help. He took action. He implemented, and that's what I love seeing in a client. I've got clients like that. I'm working with a client now who she she's an expert at helping people get paid to speak on stages. A lot of people
Wow.
speak, but they don't get paid, and her program's not cheap. It's like $12,000, but she has a guarantee that she will get you to $150,000 per year. And if you don't get to that level, she'll keep working with you until you do, because she's that good. And she's got all the relationships with all the meeting planners who have budgets to pay speakers. And so,
Mhm.
so it's wonderful. I get to work with people like that. Um, and so, that's the deal. Look, uh, I was going to touch on this a little earlier. A lot of people, they can, a business is attract, convert, and deliver. Attract is the marketing, convert is the sales, and deliver. A lot of people are good at delivery. The dentist might be good at dentistry, and the auto mechanic might be good at fixing cars. Okay, the financial planner might be good at understanding financial products. But who's going to do better, a great dentist or a great marketer of dentistry? Who's gonna make more money, a great auto mechanic or a great marketer of auto mechanic services? Who's gonna make
I
more money, a financial planner or somebody who not only understands the financial planning, but they can market and sell the financial planning? And so being good isn't enough. Being able to do the work isn't good enough. You need to be able to market and close sales so you can do the work. And if you can do the work, but you can't, market and sell, you're going to always be playing a smaller game. And that's what it takes to holistically build a good business, is being able to market and scale up your marketing, being able to sell and scale up your selling, and being able to deliver and scale up your delivery. If you do all those three things well, you're going to have a solid business that's going to provide you a good income probably for the rest
Wow.
of your life.
Joe, you nailed it. Some people, I really, you see, marketing is the key. It is an investment. It's not an expense. I really understand that. And some people, they don't understand that, especially some business owners who doesn't understand the value of marketing. Marketing is the key to success. And it doesn't matter, like for me, for example, just an example, maybe I have a friend who doesn't know really how to sing, doesn't sing well, but it was marketed that everywhere that there is a concert and this person is going to sing, you will gain more people than than saying that, oh, she doesn't want to she doesn't know how to sing. But if you market it well, like a product, packaging is the key. Even if the product inside
Yeah,
that nice packaging is not good, but the packaging is nice, people will buy it.
yeah, who's going to succeed more? Somebody with, an average product with great marketing, or somebody who's got a great product but they suck at marketing? I'll take the person that's got an average product that has great marketing. There's a myth, we call it the mousetrap syndrome. Okay, a lot of people think if you build a better mousetrap, they'll beat a path to your door, and that's not true. Without, if you build a better mousetrap without good marketing, you end up with a garage full of unsold mousetraps, or a warehouse full of unsold mousetraps. And, I run into this all the time with restaurant owners. They think all I got to do is great food, and the product will take care of itself. No, you have a great product, but you gotta tell the world. Innovation creates new ignorance. You could have the best food in the world, but you gotta pronounce it to the world. You are invited to my restaurant to enjoy our delicious food. And if you don't promote, timid marketers have skinny children. you know, you can't be timid about your greatness. You got to let the world know about your greatness. And there's this idea of the humble brag.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're good, you need to be able to say I'm good. I'm
Mm-hmm.
good. I am the best. I've been trained by the best. I only work with the best. I always get paid the best, and I'm worth every penny. Now, it ain't bragging if it's true. If you've done the work to be great at what you do, you gotta, I'm not bragging, I'm applying for a job. Okay. Every day, an entrepreneur needs to get new customers. I'm not bragging about how good I am. I am good, and I'm applying for a job. I want to help you grow your business, or I want to help you with your financial plan. Okay. And so if you're good, you can't keep it a secret. You need to tell the world.
Yes. I agree with you, Joe, because nobody will buy your product if you don't sell it, if you don't
Right.
tell people what you have. So the key is really marketing and telling the people. And now, Joe, my question is: with everybody's on social media, what is your advice to people to increase their sales, to get be able to to show people what they offer through social media? Is it really worth it spending or investing on social media for your business?
Well, social media can be really powerful, but most people don't know how to really use it. Okay. A lot of people say, well, content is king.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, context is king. The stuff I'm sharing I'm going to make a video on social. The stuff I'm sharing today is valuable, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
everything I've got. It lives in a bigger context. I have a whole lot of ways I can help you. It's not just this thing I'm sharing. Also, social, the S in social stands for starting. It's great for starting relationships. It's for starting to get people to know you. And what you want to do is not only get people to know you, but now that you've met me on social media, let's chat in Messenger, or let's continue the conversation, and I'll get to know you inside of our Messenger chat. And if I feel like I can, we can give each other some value, then let's get on a phone call. Let me send you my schedule link. Let's get you on my appointment calendar. And so, um, a lot of people say, well, I'm going to make money being a content provider. Well, I'm not I can't compete with people that are just producing content all day. I don't do that. 10% of my time is creating content. 90% of my time is being a service provider to the people who pay me generously. I'm not here to give away all of my information for free on social media. I take 10% of my time and produce stuff on social media. And if you like what I'm talking about, then let's chat a little bit. And then, if it makes sense, let's get on a Zoom call. Let me buy you an hour of my time. Let's get to know you to see if or how I can help you.
Very good. So that's how to start it with you, Joe, right?
Yeah.
So I really appreciate your time. All of the everything that you said is really happening, and I'm just looking at myself. What did I miss? So everything you said is really important. So
There is so many ways I can help people. And this conversation between me and you is a little generic, because I apply proven principles. I use proven principles and apply them to your unique situation. So this may be very valuable at a surface level, but when it becomes very valuable is when we get on a one-on-one call, we roll up our sleeves, okay, and I get to work on your business and your problems and your challenges. Because what I'm sharing here, it's probably very valuable to everybody listening, but it's 1% of the value. there's a lot of value when we get personalized. When I get on a one-on-one with Jem, I can work on Jem's issues and Jem's problems and help Jem build a thriving business around Jem's unique needs. And I see there's a Joey out there. I could help Joey one-on-one, or I see Cancun vlog. So I give away my information freely on social media. When you give freely of your information, you earn the right and the privilege to charge a premium for helping people with implementation. Okay. And so everybody that's watching and listening to this is getting information. But if you really like what you're hearing and you want some help, you want somebody to work specifically with you, specifically with your business, specifically helping you increase your revenue, let's get on that one-on-one call where I can give you the personal attention you want and need.
Okay, Joe, thank you so much. So, by the way, Kuya Joey official, he is in, I think, Alabama, right, Kuya Joey? And he is a musician. Um, he writes music, and um, I don't know if he is distributing, but he is a writer or songwriter. So he said that same in the music industry, you can have the greatest song in the world, but that is only 10% of work. Marketing is the other 90%. And I agree.
Yeah. And if you're a musician, okay, the laws of business apply to musicians as well. The purpose of a business is to create a customer, okay? So you have to ask yourself, who is my customer? Is it that one person buying that one song on Apple Music for $1.29? Or is your ideal customer a music label that's going to, give you a $500,000 music contract, okay? Or is your ideal customer a concert promoter that can fill up an auditorium with people to come and listen to your music? And so a lot of people think my customer is the person who likes my music. Well, that's going to get you about $1 sale per transaction. But if you work with a music promoter, that might give you a $50,000 payday for a concert that sells out. Or if your ideal customer is a music label that has large distribution channels, they might give you a $500,000 contract. So, I think first question to ask is, who is my ideal customer and what problem do I solve for them? And if you
Mhm.
sell to one person at a time, you're going to make small money. But if you sell to a bigger crowd, a bigger audience, somebody that sees more value, I wrote a book, Resurrecting America's Entrepreneurial Spirit. Every time I sold a book, I made about $20 profit. Okay. So what? You know, uh, but now there's a publisher that wants to pay me. I'm not going to disclose the number, but it's not $1 million, but it's about three-quarters of that. It's a pretty good sized chunk of money. But why would they offer that kind of money? Because they see that they can make money off of my work, as a major publisher. So um, choosing your ideal customer can be the difference between, you know, poverty and prosperity.
Wow, congratulations, Joe. I'm really proud of you. I'm glad that I knew you in 2012, and until now we're still friends. And I can call you if I have trainings. I call you, and or you offer a free 1 hour free training, tips or motivation or learning knowledge that you shared with us, and I really appreciate that. Okay, Joe. So we wrap this up. We're already uh 56, 3 and 56 minutes. So let's wrap up with your message to the people of how they contact you, how what you can do to them, and anything that you want to say.
Sure. I'm going to send you a link, Jim, that you can share
Hmm.
with people in the
Okay.
private chat there. Look, it's a new year. If you want to start a business, we live in a world of problems. If you can solve problems, you can get paid for those to solve those problems. Um, a lot of people struggle in business and they fail in business, and one of the biggest reasons is they lack a mentor, they lack guidance. And if you want to build a business that works, this is the work I do. Is we work side by side. I roll up my sleeves and I help you start and grow and build a solid business. Um, I've spent over 25,000 hours learning what I know. I am a genuine business development expert. One of the reasons, one of the biggest obstacles in business is your environment. You know, there's three parts to environment: your physical environment, the people in your environment, and the ideas in your environment. Do you have a good place to work? You need a physical environment. If you don't have a good physical environment, it could be disruptive. The second part is, do you have good people in your environment that love you and care about you? And if you don't have that, if you're around a bunch of negative people, um, then you're going to struggle. But the third one, even if you have people who love you in your environment and care about you, that doesn't make them a business expert. You need expert ideas. You need somebody that's a business expert to look at your business. If your family isn't an expert at creating businesses, they're probably not going to give you the best business advice. You need to talk to somebody who is a genuine expert. I think that's important. I see Kuya Joey has a question.
Yes. Kuya Joey, thank you for your question. And he said, how do you think the advent of AI will change the business landscape? I see many positive and negative, which is stronger than negative or pros. Okay, so that's a very good question, Kuya Joey. And I also want to ask that question because I've heard a lot about AI. I even wanted to learn about AI technology.
AI is clearly, there's a lot of powerful tools. There are so many tools, I can't learn them all. Okay. Chat GPT 4 is very good. But, the opposite of artificial intelligence is authenticity. I think, if you type something into AI and it spits out an answer, it's not coming from your heart and your soul. So we want to use AI as tools to get our brain working, but it's not a substitute for your heart and your soul and your humanity. And so I think that AI is a good tool, but you got to put your heart, you got to put your own deep thought and your own deep feelings into what you create. So that's the first thing. Um, I use AI tools. I think they can be a crutch. I think they can be a crutch. And at the end of the day, the purpose of a business is not to, crank out a bunch of artificial intelligence content. The purpose of a business is to create a customer and serve a customer and solve their problems. And so, you know, at the end of the day, AI is not going to save your ass, okay? At the end of the day, serving a client and getting paid is what's going to serve you well. And so, if you can use AI, look, it's all about that human being that pays you. You can have all the artificial intelligence in the world, but if you don't have customers that pay you, and if you don't solve their problems, at the end of the day, customer client success is the new marketing. If people hire me and they start winning in their business because they hired me, they're going to tell other people, I hired Joe and he changed my life. Okay. A lot of times there's a lot of people out there that are business coaches, and people have spent a lot of money and their business didn't grow.
Mhm.
Okay. And a lot of people are using AI, and so at the end of the day, we need to help our clients win. If you've got a cavity in your tooth and you go to the dentist, AI won't save you. It's about, healing the client's cavity and helping their unhealthy tooth get healthy again. Okay. We want the clients to win. We need to make a promise and keep a promise to people in exchange for getting paid. And I think one of the challenges for people is we lose touch with the people, the human beings that pay us. Artificial intelligence does not pay us. Human beings pay us because we make their life better. And be that person that cares about human beings and makes their life better. And if you use artificial intelligence tools to make people's lives better, great. Okay. But at the end of the day, you know, we spend money on things that make our life better. Why do you pay your mortgage or your rent? Because life is better with a roof over my head than being homeless. Why do you spend money at the restaurant, instead of cooking at home? Because sometimes life is better to have a professionally cooked meal by a chef. Okay, that's better. I don't have to wash dishes. Why do you spend breaks spend money with the mechanic to get your brakes fixed on your car? Because life is better when you have brakes that work than having brakes that don't work. Okay, so we spend money on things that make our life better. What's going to have people spend money now? If we reverse it, if you want people to spend money with you, Jam, or with you, Kuya Joey, then the most important thing is that no matter what you do, make your customers' lives better. Not a little bit better, a lot better. And if you're a massive contribution to the betterment of your customers, they will pay you money, and they don't care if you're using AI or not. What they care about is, you made my life better. I'll spend money on things that make my life better. And if you want people to spend money with you, make other people's lives better.
I agree with you, Joe. Joe, I think AI is only used for as a tool, not for to do everything. Like for example, in the caregiving business, if you are using AI in your caregiving business, how can you care for the elderly? So that's an argument, conversation with other companies that I network with, because this other company is using AI. They're proud of saying, advertising that we're using AI in our company. But how do you use AI to take care of the elderly people? So that's when you have
Yeah, that's what people care about. If you're in the business of caring for elderly, people don't care that you use AI. What they care about is you're good at helping my elderly family member, live a higher quality of life in their golden years.
Mhm.
Okay. If the AI, if you have all the technology in the world, doesn't matter if it doesn't if you can't translate it into a benefit for the customer that's paying you.
Yes,
And there's
agree.
no need to talk about it if it doesn't make your customer better. Maybe it's tools you use in the background, but the
Mhm.
client doesn't care that you're using AI. The client cares that grandpa is well taken care of.
Mhm. Agree. Okay, so Joe, will you allow me to post your website, the link that you gave me to our
Sure.
audience? Okay, so those people who are interested in connecting to Joe, I'm going to send you the link here, right here in their chat, and you can connect to Joe in his employment escape program plan.com. It's very useful, and Joe is very accommodating. He's a nice guy. I know Joe for more than a decade, and I really appreciate you, Joe, for coming out this 1st of January to share with us your knowledge and your expertise as a coach, a business mentor, and founder author of a book.
Yeah. I appreciate being here. We might want to clean up that link. Let's see. Let me post it
Okay.
too. Yeah, go to employeeescapeplan.com. I love doing this. This is my mission. This is my purpose, is helping people build and grow a business. We know a lot of people struggle and fail in business, but not on my watch. Um, and if you want some help, help's available. Just reach out to me, and I've got a wide variety of ways to help you. I've got one-on-one coaching. I got group coaching. If you're trying to figure out what's the right business to be in the first place, I got a program for that as well. So,
Oh, you have everything, Joe.
well, I don't have everything, but when it, I don't do brain surgery. I am just
Joe.
I am a badass business coach, and I love doing it. And I stay in my lane. I do what I'm good at, and I'm very grateful that I found my one business that I'm really good at. and that's helping people, other people, build a better business. And
Joe,
you
I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Joe. I forgot one thing. There is a question that we haven't answered.
know, okay,
I'm
what is it?
sorry to cut you off. Concon Vlog is asking, she was asking, how can you get people engaged to your content on social media? Is that something
Well,
that you can answer?
yeah, there's different kinds of content, okay, and you kind of need to mix it up. Number one, there's something called value content. So when people see your content, they go, wow, that's valuable, that'll make, that makes my life better, or it makes my business better. So value content is super important. Also, I think it's important to have proof content, whether it's case studies or testimonials. I think it's important to show, here's one of my client success stories. Okay. Um, Also, I think you need to have connection content, to have people connect with you and see, you know, I'm a human being just like you, and to get people to know you and like you and trust you. And then finally, you need to have invitation content. Hey, I'm doing an event with Jem on New Year's Day. Would you like to join us? The people that are watching this, somehow they saw that this, we were doing this event today. And so you want to invite people, you want to get people to connect with you, you want to give value, um, and you want to show proof. And so you want to mix up, the way you get people to engage with your content is you ask engaging questions. Like, one of the things I did like 2 weeks ago, I have a worksheet that I use with my customers to help people find out what will people actually pay you money for. It's a worksheet I use with my paid clients. And so I put out a series of posts. Hey, I have this thing called the Valuable Work Connector. It's a worksheet I use with my paid clients. Would you, I just downloaded this PDF. It's something I use with my paid clients. Would you like a copy? And people said, yes, I want it. I'll rate, that's engaging. And then, you know, in order to get it, they need to put their name and their email and optionally their phone number. And when they do that, then they receive it in their email. They receive the free content. Well, I'm giving value. And if you want this value, you need to raise your hand. And if you want this in exchange for this free, valuable thing that I have clients that pay me $10,000 for this information, but you can get it for free, but you got to pop in your name and your email in order to get it. So it's a small price to pay. But once people say, here's my name, here's my email, here's my phone number, well, now they're not only engaging with my content, but they're getting value. And they're like, wow, this is cool. But they start to realize that what I gave them, even though it's super valuable, it's a tiny percent of the value I have to offer. And they start to realize, wow, if I work with this, if I actually hire this man, he's going to help me grow my business. So you want to start giving people little samples. You want to give people, um, you can't just post content. You got to invite people. I'm looking for 5 people who, want to grow their business. It's January 1st. I'm looking for 5 people who want to work with me an entire year to build a better business. Is that you? Then reach out to me. Go to employeeescapeplan.com and get on my calendar and let's talk. Maybe I can help you, maybe I can't, but there's no way to know until we at least have a conversation. Okay. So when I say I'm looking for 5 people to help, would you like to be one? A lot of people are, yeah, I'd like to be one. Well, let's talk. And so invitation is super important. And you could throw the best party in the world, but if you don't invite people to it, nobody's going to show up.
Yes, I agree with you, Joe. And that is the key to success. That's already a given. You give a lot of free buys today. It's January 1st, and I really appreciate that. And all the people who are watching, there were like 7, 8 people live on YouTube, and I don't know how many people on Facebook are watching. We're watching to with Joe Nicasio and Gem Star Media, and we also have in on LinkedIn. So that summarizes everything, Joe. And also, Joe, I'm going to give you a copy. I'll download this video, and I'll give you a copy in um, like the raw material. You can get some clippings on that for your social media use.
Yeah, I'll share it on
Okay.
my channels as well.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. And last message, and to all the people who are here, I'd like to thank all of you who joined us. Kuya Joey Official, you will be my next guest on the panel. So let me know when is the best time. Concon Vlog, so she's always with me. She's a good singer and a marketer. So Concon is a virtual assistant in the Philippines, and she's really, really good. Okay, so that wraps up our conversation for today. I want to greet all of you a happy new year, and may you have all have a prosperous new year, and business growth and everything. If there's anything you want to ask, or you want me to um if you want to be my guest on my channel, let me know. You can message me on Facebook. It's Gemstar. Look for Gemstar de la Cruz, and LinkedIn, and everywhere. I have all those social media platforms. So, last message, Joe, before I close this um, session, this event.
My last message is, the world needs you. You have value. You're a child of God. I believe that we're all children of God. God doesn't make junk. There are no defective people, but there are defective processes. And so, there's nothing wrong with you if you're not making money or if you're struggling. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need, some guidance and some professional help to make sure you do things more effectively. So if you want the help's available. You just got to ask. It's scripture. If you ask, you will receive. If you want help, say, I need help. And then we can start having a conversation about what that looks like. Um, if you ask, you receive. But if you don't ask, you'll never receive. And so uh, reach out to me. Go to employeeescapeplan.com. I love helping people. I'd love to help you. And so let's talk and see how what that looks like.
Okay, very good, Joe. And that concludes our conversation for today. And looking forward to have you again, Joe. Joe, I really appreciate you all that always that you come to my events. You're always giving your value, most valuable time, and you're not selfish about it. Thank you, Joe. And I wish you all the best, Joe, for your book launch. Let me know when is your launch so I can help promote it and market it on my social media platform. And
All
we
right.
can
I
talk about
appreciate
it.
that, Jim.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Those who are here, thank you so much. And I look forward to see you all again in my next event. Have a nice day, Joe, and Happy New Year. Wish you all the best.
All right. Take care.
Bye.